T minus 1 minute. T minus 50 seconds. T minus 40 seconds. T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Own it, own it, own it, Kong. I own it. It did.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet.
What is going on, you guys? Welcome to Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. I am your EFC of Women's Wrestling Talk, Driune Santana, and the host and one half of the most dominating tag team in the Women's Wrestling Talk history. The South Shakers, of course, my other co-host Stephanie Hardy, my queen, is right up here with me as well. Meka the Mage, my homegirl, my skillet biscuit, all that. L, give me an L, yeah. Is in the
yeah. Thank you. I love that.
Our special guest is in the building, Kristen Ashly. How you doing?
Good.
Herself and of course Bill to Bills. How are you guys doing this Friday? I mean, it's Friday. It's a weekend. It's Halloween weekend. What we feeling like today?
Tired.
Sure, you're tired.
It's storming out here. It has been storming all day, and so it's pretty gloomy. But I think this is gonna heat things up just a little bit. So
yeah, it's cloudy and cold over here, but at least it is the weekend, and I am excited to be here with y'all. So yeah, I'm happy.
All right. Sam said he's here with his tea and popcorn. I'm glad you are because it's about to get real.
He came in hot. He ready.
He's
always.
He is definitely ready. But if you guys do not know, we are here for the PWI 150 list for the women. And I mean, it sparked a lot of conversation, preferably you could say all this week, to be honest. I mean, people were anticipating this list to be coming out. They found out who was in the top 10, they found out who was in top 20, and then moving on to top 150. And some people were happy, others not so much. And then you got those who are just like in the middle. It's like, it's a list, whatever. But we're definitely happy to have Kristen here with us to kind of break down a little bit of the top 10 lists and with us. And we're going to go over the top 10 lists only and probably talk about some of the other ones that did stood out to us or that I did see on social media and stuff like that. So Kristen, I'll let you have the floor. How did you guys, with this list, I mean, you guys do this like every year.
Yeah.
And each year it gets harder and harder trying to figure out who is going to make that top 10 list. I think when you get to like 11, 20, and then on so down, it's a little bit easy to kind of figure out. When you get to that top 10, because that's kind of like what's most important to a lot of people, and even the top 5, like how difficult was it for you guys to curate this list this year versus last year?
This year, specifically, super hard. For multiple reasons, like Canada is back open, right? Mexico full stream, UK is full stream. Like, and every year it gets better, really, because there's more women's wrestlers visible, like Europe and all that. But the number 1 and 2 spot, particularly, like last year, it was the same, right? It was Bianca versus Stardom, Utami, and that did take a little debate. But this year, it took up over an hour of our meeting, which is like a 4-hour meeting. And then even after that, there were email chains and there were other conversations on Zoom. I mean, it was a lot. This one was like, I felt like it took up my life a little bit. And we always leave off people that we really don't want to leave off. I mean, and there's you want the list to be prestigious, right? Like you don't want everyone to make it, because then it's like, well, why do this, right?
Right.
But it's hard, and like I think we're probably going to extend it or do something to switch it up, because it is getting harder and harder. And there are people that we always leave off that I'm like, I really wanted them on there, and I really fight for them. And like the top 2 were extremely hard. The rest of the top 10, like you kind of know by titles, right? You kind of know like who's holding the big titles, who are going to be up there, who's had like stellar years. Those people stick in your head. Like the middle of the list is the hardest, because it's always, like one title difference, or they basically have the same history. So how do you choose? And it's one criteria that's different. And the bottom of the list is difficult because also that, and then you're having to decide who stays and who's off the list. So like the top is actually pretty easy. It's just the bottom that you're like, who do we keep on? So yeah, it was very hard this year.
Yeah, I saw you guys had a lot of the debuts. I think Anna J actually made a debut into the list. There was a lot of people who were moving up, which I think is great. And there was some people who probably were moving down because I know during the time you guys are looking at in regards to criteria wise, it's all about various different things. So for those who may not understand the criteria of when you guys curate your list, could you really like kind of explain that to them, and so that maybe it could assist with helping you guys understand why some people are in where they are?
Yeah, maybe.
Yes, break it down.
Yeah, we'll see. So, I mean, the idea is to keep it as objective as we can, because you want to be able to compare the list, and you also don't want to go on subjective views, because that is obviously way vastly different between person to person. And like we have committees that are different almost every year. So you want to keep it as objective as possible. So we start with like titles, and that's how you create like the top 20, right? Like who are the big title holders? Usually WWE people, you're thinking about AEW, you're thinking about the bigger promotions who have more visibility, because that's also very important. Like that's why indie people typically rank a little bit lower, because they're not as visible, right? So we think about titles, number of titles, how long their reign has been. I mean, that's also very important. We think about matches. Activity is super important, and it's typically what will knock somebody off the list is like injuries, right? Like they're not wrestling as much. Right. We also look at like win records, right? Depth of competition. Who are you wrestling? Are you wrestling champions, or are you wrestling like kind of mid-carders, or who are you wrestling? And then, a lot of it too is like that unmeasurable stuff, right? Like push, influence, representation is also really, really important when we rank. If they have like an influence outside of wrestling, like we think of Bianca with all of her deals going on. So we try to keep it to the stats as much as we can. That's really the idea. But it does come down a lot to their influence and are they fan favorites and all that stuff. Yeah.
Got it. Understandable. I definitely understand that. If you guys do have some questions in regards to the list that we go over the top 10, definitely sound off in the comment section. I see some of you guys are in here now. Thank you guys. I really appreciate it.
Kristen, can you tell these people the date range that we are looking at with this list? Because you telling me that Charlotte is not active right now has no effect on the list, baby, because the dates. So let's clear that up so you guys can stop screaming into the void about what's happening right now when that has no effect on the list.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's the thing. She was active for over half the year, actually, because it goes from October 1st of 2021 until September 15th of this year. So it's a little bit less than a year, but that's just so we can make it to print. And we don't want it to overlap with a 500 because that gets crazy. So, yep. She was active and we could get to that when we talk about her, but yeah, she was more than active for sure. Yeah.
Well, speaking of the list, let's kind of just go ahead and get started and talk about the top 10 list. You guys want to know about all the other lists that goes in like from 11 all the way up to 150. You can definitely go purchase the PWI 150 website article, magazine on their website to be exact. You can definitely go do that. Go spend some money, okay?
$6.
Get the digital edition or the physical one.
Exactly. Yeah. Whichever one you prefer. Whichever one is in your pocket range. No discrimination here. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. And also, sorry, plug. If you disagree with our rankings in the women's, I think it's in the women's, there's a ballot. There's literally a fan ballot. We have fan awards. And I'll tell you, we don't get half as many ballots as we do people who don't agree with us. So if you don't agree, get that ballot in. All you got to do. Okay. That's it.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and dive into our top 10. So, shout out my cute little graphic I made because I wanted to be all cute and everything. But
yes.
Going into number 10. Wow. Someone who I would have hoped to have been high on the list because since her release from WWE, she has been dominating in like every promotion she stepped into.
Absolutely.
She's carrying everybody's titles. If you literally. Or she's won it back again, she's carrying titles, and she is currently. I'm not going to name all the titles that she has, but currently she is your AAA Reigning champion, the Taya Valkyrie. Her coming into number 10. Kristen, talk about a little bit about like how she placed on the top 10 list.
Yeah, so she was one of those two that moved up after some talks because we were like, listen, it's pretty hard to not put her at least number 10, right? She's held like 3 titles during the evaluation period, 2 of which were the inaugural, right? So we have, it was the XPW, and then MLW, right? So she's, I mean, not only is she holding 3 titles, but like she's the title holder, right? She spent like 9 months in NXT and then got let go and like had rightfully a nice chip on her shoulder and hit the ground running and was like, look, I need to prove to everybody that I deserve this and I am a great wrestler. And that's exactly what she did. I mean, she could have gotten higher had she wrestled more matches. Like that's sort of the thing. I think she wrestled like 50, which believe it or not is small in that top 10. Like that's a small amount. But she killed it. I mean, she really showed up everywhere, like NWA everywhere, and really, really reminded everybody that she's the powerhouse, and she's also like incredibly talented. So it's good for her. How do you not put her at 10, right?
Yeah, I agree. I think that with Taya Valkyrie, she's been dominating the Impact. She's been doing her thing over in NWA. She's been doing her thing in various of like different indies promotions, MLW, XPW. She's been, she's been over in AAA. Although she's still carrying the title, we don't really see her that often because I don't think they have like a streaming service to be able to watch them like weekly or nothing like that. You can only watch like their Triple Mania or like their pay-per-views that they have. So Meka, Stephanie, Taya Valkyrie, the year that she's had, what do you guys think? Her being top 10, do you agree? Do you disagree? Would you replace her with someone else or what?
I love that she's top 10. I'll be honest. I think that she shows people 2 things. 1, that too old stuff is BS. And 2, there's life after WWE. She shows you both of these things. She is killing it. She is killing it at a level that a lot of people cannot kill it at. The responsibilities in itself. She had 5 belts at one time. Like the responsibility of being the champion of these 5 different companies alone, she deserves to be there. So shout out to Taya, man.
Yeah, I agree. Like, what can you say? She left and I think there were people who were like, well, she's done. She's just going to go back. And she's like, no, like you said, she's proving that she is the star she is. Like what everyone saw, she's like that. Frankie Monet she's dead. Like, long live Taya Valkyrie. I'm killing it. I'm gonna make a name. Like, let's go 2022 and 2023 even more.
Yeah, I always felt that she was an electric wrestler, and I was very disappointed that she was one of the people that were let go. I thought that was a major loss on WWE's part because everything that she offers in the ring is like she also offers in spirit and personality and character. So to watch her get let go broke my heart, but then the fact that she continued to pop off everywhere else just speaks to the level of talent that she has, and I was really glad to see her in the top 10. I was just like, you better get it, girl. Come on. I loved that. I love where she's placed, and I wouldn't replace her with anybody else. With all the titles that she's won and everything she's accomplished, I'm really glad that she's in the top 10. So, no dispute for me at all.
Where I look, okay, like Miss
Okay.
she's been doing her thing and everything like that. Mr. Certified Wrestling Podcast, because I don't know who you are, but I see you say top 10, you don't know, but you say 25. I think that with the success that Ty Valkyrie has had since, leaving WWE and moving and coming back to Impact, where she's been knockouts, Impact Knockouts World Champion, and constantly continue to build a long lasting career, whether she's wrestling overseas and whether I think she was holding a title in Australia. I want to say she actually ended up winning the first one, but she ended up losing, but she still was the first one to hold it. But I think that with Taya Valkyrie, I think that number 10 is great for her. I feel that maybe eventually she may, if she continues to stay on the right path, I think she could be coming up a little bit, maybe for a top, maybe number 6 next year. It really just depends. So Ty, you better not fall off now, or have to come find you somewhere. Okay.
And she had a big jump. She had a big jump this year from last year, right? She had a pretty large jump.
She did. I can't necessarily say where she was last year.
She was 126.
126.
Oh, well, that's a jump.
Wow.
Definitely.
Significant jump.
She was the second largest jumper, so Liv was the biggest. Obviously, right? And then she was the second, because the year before she spent a lot of time benched at NXT. So
Right.
Yeah.
My God, that's great.
I see that you're wondering about Patricia Dora being 50 in the 500. Well, this is the 150 PWI list that we're discussing. If you want to know about the 500 list, you got to go talk to PWI on a different day because it's all about women.
I think I know what you're saying. They're asking why women that wrestle men would rank on the 500 but rank really low on the 150. That's a common question that a lot of people were asking about, like Trisha Dora, Jordan Grace, Jordan Blade, like stuff like that. Like they ranked on the men's list, but then they're so low on the women. I think a lot of people have questions about that, but we can get to that another time in the show.
Well, I can address it real quick. It's simple. So the 500 takes into account open weight or genderless titles. And the women's list is women's competition, women's titles. So when you're Trisha Dora and you are half wrestling women for women's titles and women's divisions and half wrestling open divisions or wrestling men, that then splits your activity, right? So then you're not wrestling as many women as the women who only wrestle women. So yeah, you're gonna go down a little bit lower, absolutely. And I mean that's just yes, because they're splitting their time. That's basically why.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. She does have all the answers.
Yeah.
She does. I hope that answers your question, Mr. Certified Wrestling Podcast. If you do not agree, then that's on you. No apologies here.
And feel free to make your own list.
Yeah, of course. Go right ahead. Put her at number 1. Okay.
Yeah,
number 9, as we move on back into the main topic of tonight, which is the top 10 list of the PWI 150. And number 9, wow. It's quite interesting for this one to be number 9. I just feel like, if you're familiar with Stardom, then you understand why.
Right.
If you don't watch Stardom, like you may watch them wrestle like maybe AEW or something.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But if you're not actually watching their product, then you wouldn't understand why some of the Stardom wrestlers end up being, or certain ones end up being in this top 10 list.
Yeah.
Not everything is WWE and AEW, guys. Okay? Just saying. So coming in number 9, Starlight Kid. I mean, absolutely an amazing wrestler.
Mhm.
I mean, top tier. You know what I'm saying? It was very shocking that she, you know, made it to, you know, number 9 and everything like that. But I definitely, because I would love to hear, you know, how she made it into the number 9 list and where was she last year, if you can remember.
Yeah, let me check on that. Last year she was 76.
Mm.
So this year she held 3 titles during the period, which actually is pretty hard to do in Stardom. She held the High Speed Championship, which is for the fast folk, right? That's where they just literally don't stop to breathe. It's very lucha style. Goddesses of Stardom Champion, which is tag, and then their Artists of Stardom Champion, which is trios. So she still holds that, and it's been like 5 months. So she held 3 titles. Not only that, but she is sort of the face of Oda Otai, which if you want to call them the bad guys, they are pretty much the bad faction, right? They don't really do heels and faces much over there, but that is essentially it. And Starlight Kid sort of is the face of that, and she is like this mischief, like she's the evil one, right? And that's why she's got the purple mask now, and dark Starlight Kid, and she is like, I don't even know how to explain it, but she is like evil when they don't really have evil in Stardom, right? Like she is sort of this bad guy, and she doesn't care, and she's just so charismatic. She's also just, like you said, incredibly good at wrestling. And in Stardom, they wrestle a ton anyways. Like they wrestle in insane amounts. But she also had some, you know, really good moments. Like she fought on this year's Wrestle Kingdom, right? Like she had a match there, and she's really well liked over there. She's kind of one of those people that's on a lot of magazine covers and is really well pushed. And I mean, it doesn't, like you said, it doesn't take long. If you stop and watch a pay-per-view, like every Stardom pay-per-view is a banger, and you watch her, you're like, okay, yeah, I get it. Like she's incredible, and she's got a lot of years ahead of her too, which is awesome.
Yeah, I live for the aesthetic. I will say that
Me too.
her gears go like
so
I'm always obsessed with like gears for women. Sometimes I always say, inside joke, I always end up saying like celebrities wearing gears, like i.e. Lotto.
Right.
Yes, and Chloe. Oh my god.
But I like the fact that she's in number 9. Like I said, she does have a lot of years ahead of her and everything like that. So I don't know necessarily, like, hopefully she continues to hold these titles and you know, win more, you know, being that she is in Stardom. And like you said, it is hard to hold titles in Stardom because those girls hit hard over there. I would not want to take a elbow jab to the chest,
Absolutely.
kick,
No,
or
thank you.
out to the face.
No,
I
thank
would
you.
not want to be a part of that at all whatsoever. So shout out to those girls. They're very tough. Meka, Stephanie, Al. Starlight Kid being in number 9. Are you familiarized with her? Because I know like some people, like if you don't watch Stardom, you know, or never watched a match in Stardom, you may not be familiarized with who this woman is. So if you are, you know, let me know, you know, what, you know, about her, what you think, your thoughts and everything.
I like her. She's very dynamic. Every time that I've seen her come across my screen, I have to stop what I'm doing because I'm like, this girl can go. Like you just kind of watch her in awe, and it's like, girl, I wish I had half that energy. First of all, and second, like, ow, that looked like that hurt. Like, you know. So I was excited to see her name pop up, honestly, and I'm happy for her. I can't say I'm proud, like I know her, but like, I'm really happy, you know, that she showed up and as high as she did, and that she's working at the level she's working. And I just hope that, you know, they remain injury free and, you know, keep pushing, because they like Kristen said, they work a lot of shows. So, I hope she keeps going.
I've never really seen her. I've never seen her before because I'm not as familiar with Stardom. So really, she just looking at this picture, and like Santana said with the gear, it's giving me Cheshire Cat from Alice in Wonderland, and it makes me want to see more of her because she looks very mysterious like that. But at the same time, I want to learn more about her because of her ranking on this list and because of the way you guys are talking about her and just seeing how she looks here in this picture. Like, I was enthralled with her immediately. I was like, okay, look at her. So I can't really argue with her placement on the list because I'm not as familiar. This is a learning experience for me.
Mhm.
So, and I'm glad, to embrace this learning experience right now. So it makes me want to go back and see anything that she's participated in. So yeah, this is cool. I like her aesthetic. I'm intrigued.
Yeah, I agree with Stephanie. Like, vaguely, like, I know names, but I don't get to watch as much Stardom. Like, I don't get to watch it. I would want, it's not for lack of wanting, it's just there's so much wrestling. But like, you just look at this picture and you're like, who is this person? I want to look at you, and I know you're in Stardom, so I already know you can go. Like, that's the best of the best. So just having more Joshi is like so cool because people like me and Stephanie who don't get to watch it are like, who is this? I'm gonna learn about this.
Right.
And it shows such the broad spectrum of women. And like, it's not two companies, it's not one company, it's expanding, and it's so amazing to see. Like, so it's just so cool.
I agree. Sorry for covering your face, Kristen. But Mr. White, it looks like, why are you blocking her? It's like, yes, I definitely agree. This is what lists are for, to discover new wrestlers. And a lot of times there's always new wrestlers everywhere. And a lot of us may be familiar with them, may have heard their name before, but never seen a match of theirs before. And it does help a lot, because if you love the wrestling world, you love the business, you're gonna always want to know, okay, take the time that you say that, oh well, how this person over my face, to understand why that person is there, and different things like that. I feel like with this list, especially with Stardom, I'm not that fluent in Stardom like that either.
Right.
I know a few because sometimes I may stumble on a stream that allows me to watch Stardom or things like that. So sometimes I catch myself watching it to see, like, okay, well, what's going on here? I've never really been over here in this world. I always see clips of them try to kill each other on Twitter. So
right.
just sit here and watch and see what the hell is going on. So I can keep up, so I can know what's happening, especially when it's dealing with the women, because I mean, this is Women's Wrestling Talk. We talk about women of all, promotions and things like that. We have a writer named Emily who only writes about Joshi wrestlers, and I definitely appreciate her being a part of our team to talk about Joshi wrestlers, things that's happening, to kind of keep me inside of what's going on, and those who come to our site to know that we don't only just talk about, like, WWE, AEW, Impact, TNA, whatever, but we also talk about AAA and a lot of things on the indies, and of course Stardom and New Japan and different things like that. So kudos to that. But because some people have been asking the question about
Here we go.
this woman here.
Let's just get it out in the open.
Why in the number figure 8 spot? Okay, so you pretty much, because everybody has been in shambles about why this woman is in the number 8 spot. 13-time women's champion, 13-time champion, part of the 4 horsewomen, one of the women who have literally became the opportunist, the queen, conquered and have defeated and have done a lot of amazing things in her career, whether she was wrestling inside the ring, whether she was wrestling, you're doing things outside of the ring and different things like that, cutting hella promos, building feuds with some of your favorites and different things like that. And I mean, we have no other but to talk about the queen, Charlotte Flair, and of course my tag partner's favorite person outside of me in the world, Meka. If only Nikki was here. I don't know where she is, but Nikki, this is all for you. Charlotte Flair coming in at number 8. Kristen, like, please let the people know why this woman is at number 8 so they can stop saying Charlotte Flair hasn't been here in over a year. She has a year. Why is she at number 10 or number 10 spot or up here in the top 10?
Sure. So that's where people get confused with the dates, and it's really important to know the criteria or at least the dates, right? And so, right.
Lord.
So she wrestled almost, it was like 7 months, like a little over half, right? She held the SmackDown Women's title for like that whole 5-7 months, whatever it was. And she only really wrestles the top tier, right? I mean, it's pretty rare when you see her wrestling somebody, I don't want to say mid-card, but someone who hasn't held a title in a while, right? She's not she's not typically like thrown into some squash matches, or she's not a placeholder, or just she is the main event, right? And yes, she's been gone for a while, but it doesn't at all disqualify her from the top 10, because she has just an incredible, it's her sixth reign, and technically for SmackDown, she had the Raw for a little while too, right? Before they had their title match. So it's pretty hard to deny her. I think she just kind of stays at the top because and what's impressive now, yes, we're only following the last year. What's impressive about her is that her athletic ability keeps upping, and she made a name for herself away from Papa, right? Like she's away from that guy. She made a name for herself, and she, either way, you love her or you hate her, she garners attention, and that's what you want as a wrestler. You don't want to just cause yawns. You want an emotional reaction, and she provides that every single time she comes out of that tunnel. So, as far as influence, she's huge in WWE. So. I think it's a good spot. I mean, obviously, or I was on the committee, but yeah, I think she fits there.
And I think last year, I think she was in number 15. I want to say, I think she was in number 15 last year. 15. Yeah. So she zooted, back up to, back into the top 10. And I mean, I think this is a great placement for Charlotte because, even if we're trying to exclude the times where maybe she was like, out, of course, after WrestleMania Backlash that she lost to Ronda, then, she kind of haven't seen her since then. People are still looking for Charlotte. Charlotte comes to us. Still to this day, people say they hate her, but they still calling her name whenever they feel like the women's division is going into shambles. So let's be honest. So I definitely agree with her being in the number 8 spot. I don't think I would place her anywhere else because I just feel like she's good right here. Meka, what are your thoughts on Miss Charlotte Flair?
I think she's great where she is, and this is the perfect example of influence. When you steal, because that is one of the criteria, let's be clear, of the list, and you can be gone and still have a name. When you can be gone and still have people talking about you. When you can be gone and have your NXT Women's Champion copying your helicopter entrance on I'm going to call you out, Mandy. That's where you got it from. That's what influence is. That girl went and got married and is minding her business. And what is everybody saying? There's Charlotte to save SmackDown. We need Charlotte. Charlotte, come back and beat Ronda Rousey. That girl ain't worried about us. And y'all still
she dropped the ring collection.
That's that impact. And that's why that criteria matters, because not only did she wrestle her behind her for 7 months, but she took off and still was able to be in everybody's mouth. Y'all still mad when y'all see her. She posts a picture on social media and y'all got so much to say. Why? Because she makes an impact on you. Yep. So she's the perfect example of when the two of those criteria marry and can keep you at the top of the list, even if you go out for a little bit. So shout out to Charlotte, man. I love her. And, hopefully we do get her back soon. I'm just saying, we miss her. We miss you, girl.
That lady gave that title up to go get married. Okay. A
Exactly.
beautiful
Y'all
wedding.
seen Andrade.
I
Y'all see that man.
I up
I
too.
can have
Yes,
this
I
title.
want it.
I'm gonna marry my man. Okay.
You want it? I'm gonna get on this yacht with my husband. But
She knows when she comes back, it's back for her.
Right.
It's right there when she wants it.
Right. And then on top of that, like even when you talk about, the level of competition she had, she faced off and had a fire feud with Becky Lynch, because of course they had their "we used to be best friends" thing going on. And then they
right.
fought each other at Survivor Series. You weren't sure who exactly was going to win that because they were both heel. And then on top of that, her holding the title and then feuding with Ronda and feuding with all the other women on SmackDown and everything, making them up their game. Her and Trinity / Naomi had a banger of a match as well. So it's just like there's just so much that she's still done, even though she has been out for the past couple of months. Like we can't ever stop watching her because she's just that good. She has made a name for herself. She's created all these amazing moments that we remember. And her heel run this time was a lot more fiercer. Than her past heel runs really have been. So honestly, like her being number 8, I didn't fight it at all either. When you actually study and actually look at the criteria, her being number 8 is not the problem. It's not the issue. She's the moment, she's the opportunity, she's consistent. She's, Charlotte Flair. She's that girl.
I got
I
nothing.
was like,
I got nothing. After Meka, like how am I gonna just top that? Like Charlotte is Charlotte. But like we're also saying, like Kristen was saying, it's also a mainstream appeal. She has a jewelry line, like you were saying, Santana. And people are buying it and people want that, It is
I didn't know
still
that.
yeah, she has a little ring line.
It's super cute. It's super cute too. It's cute.
So you can feel like a queen. People want that vibe because she has that aura and you're like, I want this little part of it. And we can complain and be like this and that, but also she's earned it. She is who she is.
She is.
I'm not gonna complain. She's gonna be in top 10 forever, probably. Let's just be real. Till she
She's
doesn't want it.
ready to go home.
At least in the top 15. Yeah,
She's
true.
ready.
So,
If she come back before this next criteria dates pop up, then listen.
oh Lord.
I feel like she could come back at 4 months before and be like still top 10. Like I think she really tried.
Yeah, probably.
She's also really nice in person too.
She is. She's really
super sweet.
Yeah, Ashley as a person is wonderful.
I could just hug her.
She told me
I did, but I want to hug her again.
Listen, it was an interesting ride having a chance to meet Charlotte. She told me she liked my eyebrows, and I was like, y'all can't tell me nothing. So,
that's so great,
girl. It was, child. Okay. Charlotte Flair coming in number 8. If you guys have not, been keeping up with social media, we've only on number 8. We only been to the number 10 was Tyra Valkyrie. Number 9 was Starlight Kid, and of course, we're on number 8, Charlotte Flair. As we continue on within the list, number 7 is another Joshi wrestler from Stardom. I definitely do not want to butcher this woman's name. Kristen, do you mind assisting me?
Saya Kamatani.
Saya
Kamatani.
I was.
It's one of those few names that actually
hiccup.
Sounds like what it looked. Yeah. Saya.
Okay, I'm gonna just call it Saya. That's actually a nice name. I will say that. But she is in number 7, and as you can see, she likes to hurt people as well. Because Shorty back there on the back is hurting. I tell you that much.
Yeah.
But the Queen of Quest, you just have to admire the work that she's done inside of the ring, and even the work that she does, continue to grow and things like that. So Kirsten, she's number 7. How did she get into this number 7 spot? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So she's sort of like the rising star, right? She's only been wrestling for 3 years. And in 3 years, she's had one other title, which is I think like a tag title with Utami, and then suddenly, right, she starts like getting super pushed. and gets the Wonder of Stardom title, which is sort of like, I wouldn't really call it the secondary, but it's like one step below their world, right? And she's held it almost the entire period, I think minus a couple months. Had like, let me see here, 10 defenses, and against people like Utami and Starlight Kid and some of the, Tam Nakano, some of the best wrestlers on Stardom's roster. And like nearly every single defense was against somebody new, right? And I think one time it was one defense like in back-to-back days. So she's a defending champ. She's the definition of a defending champ. She's also a former pop idol, so she's got some of the best gear in Stardom. Like, people are always in awe when she comes out because she's got some of the best gear around. She really is sort of like this, this kid that came out of sort of nowhere and then just took storm, and has really stepped up the game. And she won like from Stardom like best technique award because she's just a technical prowess. So, she's, again, like Stardom, like they're all fighting a gazillion matches a year. And, they start super young, which is probably what, they train all the time. So, she's had a phenomenal year, and it wouldn't make sense to have her outside of the top 10. It really wouldn't.
I think I would want to see her in a pop battle with Makito.
Yeah.
Battle. Yeah. I think that'll be quite interesting. I've seen a lot of Maki's performances, even while people were fighting. So
take all my money. Take all my money.
I feel like if I can get somebody singing at a wrestling show while people are wrestling each other,
listen, I would be undone.
That's where I want to be.
I would be laughing so hard.
Yeah, I missed everything from crying laughing. Like, she is over here 5, 6, 7, 8, and she is over here trying to get the 1, 2, 3 pin. I can't. It's too much.
It's a lot going on. Meka, Stephanie, Al, what do you think of Miss Saya here? Up and coming, killing it in the game thus far. You know what I'm saying? And where do you think she would be in, I guess, the next couple of years? Because I mean, she's already accomplishing a lot of accolades already. So what do you guys think her future will look like in the wrestling business?
Well, like I said, I'm not super familiar with everyone in Stardom, but just by this photo, I'm scared of her. And then you said she was a pop idol. That also has that crazy work ethic that already with Joshi wrestlers. So 3 years in, now I'm not surprised she's number 7. Like, oh, of course. It doesn't sound crazy. She has this, I could just tell, like, she has this aura, and I'm like, I want to watch her even before this Maki Ito thing that we've just been putting out in the universe. Please, somebody, I'll fly wherever that will be. But to be 3 years in and already be number 7, like, that's amazing. Like, I got to go to some research this weekend. Like,
yeah, Joshi.
Yes.
Yeah, they do a really good job.
Yeah, I think that's definitely top iron.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely do some research too, because it's like, judging by this picture, like she just wiped whoever out. Like, yeah, like she finished it. So, but yeah, I'm impressed since that she ranked so high. After wrestling for just 3 years. So yeah, I'm gonna have to learn more about her, but she looks like she really is. She's very fierce. So yeah, no argument for me here.
One thing I will say to PWI's credit, Kristen and the team, they worked very hard, and especially in recent years, to make sure that they have credible, knowledgeable, experienced people curating these lists. It's just not people screaming from the other side of a keyboard that don't actually watch this stuff. Right. And so when I see a name that I may not be as familiar with, I mean, I've seen her before because, like Santana, sometimes we'll be in the same, we'll be talking and she'll be like, oh, hey, I got a stream for this. And then we all just kind of watch it and we don't know the hell of what's going on because we can't, but we can get their ass whooped. I'll say, hey, this person is this number. It makes me know that, you know what, some credible people that I really trust have said that this person is very talented.
Mhm.
And so that means that I need to get off my behind and see why
Mhm.
this person is that talented. And every time I have done that, I have been blown away. And this person is no exception. I think I might have seen one match by her, and it was just like with Starlight Kid. I was like, what the hell? Like, this girl is young and she's
Yeah.
like, this is wild. And so it just makes me want to watch more, and it makes me want to that's my I'm under the table. That's my laptop.
Lady.
That's a laptop. But I want to be more knowledgeable. You know what I mean? And also give the people who took the time to curate this list the effort to say, you know what, you're right. I'm gonna go and educate myself, or I'm gonna go and look into this person. So I'm excited to watch some more of her when I have time, because we watch so much wrestling, our eyeballs roll in the back of our head. But I'm excited to see more of her, and I feel like she's probably gonna grow on the list, barring injuries. She's probably just gonna get better and better, you know. So
Yeah. And I would say too, like I'm not in any way, shape, or form the expert on Joshi, and that's why we brought in Karen Peterson, who writes for Post, and Kevin, our editor-in-chief, likes to recruit, right? So he's always looking for those people that really know their stuff, or at least are trying to learn, because we don't all know everything, right? But she was brought on especially because of her Joshi and even the Japanese men's wrestling. She's in it, like she knows it. She interviewed Shuri for the magazine. She speaks Japanese, like she knows it. So when she says Sai at 7, I went, yes. Absolutely.
yes,
I
ma'am.
mean, I watch it. I do watch it. I will say, when I started writing like 5 years ago in wrestling, I didn't know anything else but WWE. And within like a year, I was getting enough people going, you have to watch it. You have to. And then I just watch so much Joshi. I watch probably more Joshi than anything else. So they're hard hitting, and they go long matches, and it's stuff that you wish WWE would let their women do, or AEW, right? Any other promotion. Let them do it, because I know they could. Yeah.
Right.
But thank you for the nice words. That's pretty sweet.
I mean, that is honestly true though, because a lot of times people create lists, and when asking you guys exactly like how this person got to this number and different things like that, you're able to give a legitimate answer, not because they are carrying this many titles, or they got their wins and losses is this up here, and because I like them, or because I have a personal relationship with, and all this and that. I think it goes a lot more deeper into that, especially when you create a list that's going to have everybody looking forward to it every year.
Exactly.
But nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, let's move on within our list. We are at the number 6, the juggernaut herself, your current Impact World Knockouts champion, former Impact Knockouts Tag Team champion, and also the inaugural digital media champion, the Jordan Grace.
Big Mama Pump,
Big
baby.
Mama
Yes, ma'am.
recently won the Impact Knockouts champion at Slammiversary that I was at, and I must say that I was just like, triggered, but I was being there, I was like, oh my god, I didn't understand, but now it all really makes sense for me. But Jordan Grace, she's had a phenomenal year. I will say, from the dates wise that you guys have for the criteria, she's had a phenomenal year. There wasn't a time where I didn't see Jordan Grace either on BTI, having matches, bangers with Deonna Purrazzo, even Matt Cardona, to be exact. I still think that they had a great feud going for the digital media title, and even her having like various different matches with like Chelsea Green and Tasha Steelz, and just so many other knockouts, and even doing some things. I think she did some things on the indies too, I want to say. So she's been all around, and things like that. But Kirsten, number 6 for Jordan Grace. Tell us how she got to this number and everything like that.
Well, so Jordan Grace, and here's where we kind of count intergender in sort of a weird way, is that she is creating opportunities for women in that division to also fight for those titles. And so she's held these like, open gender, open weight titles. And then she's fought women for them. So, I mean, they did, right? She retained them, but technically speaking, that they could win it. And that's really important. And I'll say when we do these top 10, we want to make sure we're getting proper coverage with all the big promotions. And so we had talked about Impact for a little bit. And it was between Tasha and Jordan, right? Because they were the big title holders this year. And that's really what brought her up. I mean, she does hold other titles. She did, at least, with Zello, which is a Chicago or Milwaukee promotion. It's an indie promotion. And, she won the title in the first ever Queen of the Mountain match, which is a huge deal too. So Jordan now is just like the queen of firsts over at Impact. She does so much. She fights. She fought, which is why she ranked so high in the 500. She fights for all titles. I think there's just one title that she hasn't fought for over there. So she's becoming this iconic person. Really, she is. She's so strong. For her size, like you would see her and go, okay, she's like a flyer. I mean, I know she's lifting weights now, but she's so strong, and just has beaten some of the best and is not afraid to go to a bunch of indies. I mean, she fought for like 10 different indies over the last year or something like that, including GCW, which, to be honest, doesn't have many women. So, right. So, I mean, she's been everywhere. And I saw her tweet about it, and she said, like, it's all downhill from here. It's hilarious to me because she's just somebody who really is inspiring. She went after this bodybuilding thing. She just went after what she wanted to do and started doing wrestling less. And I'm just, I'm super impressed. There was no doubt in my mind that she would be in the top 10 at all. She's had a great year.
I agree. I definitely agree. Meka, Stephanie L, Jordan Grace. I mean, hell of a year. It looks like she's not slowing down at all whatsoever. Meka, what are your thoughts on Thick Mama Pump?
Thick Mama Pump. Reminder, anybody that's watching us and also watching SmackDown is on FS1 tonight. It is not on regular Fox because of the World Series. It is on now, and you got Sammy and Solo taking on Butch. And,
now? Are you joking?
Yeah, right now.
Oh. So but Jordan Grace, listen, this is the thing. Jordan Grace really grew on me over this time. Like, she really did. And it's not that I didn't like her. I'm more on the side of JD. I didn't really know her. And so the more that I got to see her, the more I got introduced to her, the more I understood, like, okay, she's the real deal. And then I go to Impact tapings because I've been to quite a few this year in the same time period. And I'm just like, wow, okay, she's really the truth. And I mean, I joke all the time about her and her husband must do push-up competitions at the house to see who's going to do the dishes and take out the groceries because they both swole as hell and like kicking everybody's butt. But even when Jordan does funny things, like when there was a taping that I was at that she wrestled Zicky Dice randomly for the women's title. And it's like, we knew he was not going to win. And we knew that she was fixing the show out, and she did. She squashed him in like 25 seconds, and it was over. And it was just like, you know what, Jordan? I can appreciate this. I love this. So I'm happy with where she is. I like her a lot. And, I hope it's not all downhill from here, like she said.
Let's hope not.
Yeah, I'm incredibly happy for her too because Kristen, you mentioned how she actually wrestled in the indies. Like, she really, like, I know earlier this year I actually had the honor of calling one of her matches for the Belladonna division in our tournament for the first ever Forbidden Elegance champion. And she fought in that match, and every time I see her, anytime I have to call any of her matches, I'm just always just surprised with her feats of athleticism. She is just so powerful. And it's almost like you almost have to reinforce the ring because of how powerful she is. She can throw you, she can slam you really hard. Like, she is just an amazing wrestler. And I've been really glad to watch her rise more and more to become not only the first ever champion, but then also become Knockouts champion again and just continue to make history for Impact. Like, I'm just really happy to watch her growth, and I just enjoy everything that she does. And she is also a person that I'm really glad to have met and taken care of in terms of commentary as well. So I'm really happy with where she is, and I can't wait to see more of what she does in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I think until I got here, I wasn't like super familiar with everyone in Impact, and like being here and like Santana and Meka and Nikki being like, "This is Jordan," and I was like, "Okay, I have to go look at her. Let me see. Let's go for the little girls because I'm shorty." So, like, and I was like, "Oh, okay." Like, I know who Jordan Grace is, but I was like, she's not on my radar, and now she is. She's killing it, and just being champion. And like you said, she's queen of firsts, and she's not going to be the first, but she's even going to like PWG next week. I will not be there. I am sad. But anyway, but like she's just killing it and going to these indies and Impact. And you're right, like feuding with Matt Cardona, and like that's also putting eyes because they're like, what's Zack Ryder doing? You know, like, and then they're like, oh, Jordan, you know what I mean? Like people could see that, you know? So like, you're right. Like people not familiar. Like I feel like this is her year. She like was like, nah, I'm here. Me too. And just killing it. So yeah.
Zack Ryder is crazy. I still call him an edgehead. I still call him an edgehead. Him and Brian Myers, they're edgeheads still to me.
That's a throwback right there. Oh, Jesus.
You won't hear me say anything bad about Matt Cardona because he makes it a gimmick for like, you know, like, you guys, the PWI is already on his radar. We don't need all that.
Yeah.
Oh, love Matt Cardona.
Shout out to Matt Cardona.
Yeah, big fans.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are narrowing down. To be honest, we are about to step into the top 5 of the PWI 150 list.
And no better way to start number 5, okay?
Listen, okay.
I was excited to talk about Jade Cargill with this group. I really was.
I don't think people understand the Jade Cargill, to be exact.
Yes.
You can say that she's green, but she is green as money.
Okay. All right now, that paper.
Eat your face.
She-Hulk.
She I know people like talked about like her in-ring ability. Mm-hmm. If we put all of that aside, we actually look at how dominating this woman is. We look at her being the first woman to hold that TBS title and being the first Black woman to hold it and still holding it.
Right.
Her undefeated streak is insane. Even before she held the title and still holding the title now, she's had an undefeated streak. There is nobody that's beating her right now, unless Nyla Rose pop in. However, right. But I was very excited to see her be in the number 5 spot, or even just I didn't think she was going to be in number 5. I thought maybe she was going to make top 10 somehow, some way. But being in the top 5, that's big for her because this was not the first time that she's entered in this.
Right.
She was there last year, but she wasn't that high though. But for her to jump from where she was last year to number 5, Jade Cargill definitely deserves to be in this number 5 spot.
Oh yes.
Yes.
I really do believe that she does. She's had a hell of a year since she came in 2020. Everything has been about Jade Cargill. She has made a way to elevate herself each and every time, having the baddies, continue to be dominant, continue to try to at least hone her skills, but also being inspiration to her daughter, who is always at her matches. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like she has brought a lot of attention and attraction to the women's division. You know what I'm saying? That's AEW doesn't have that much. You know, they do what they can, but Tony Khan, if he don't do nothing else, he's gonna make sure that Jade Cargill is on your TV screen somehow, some way. Whether she's just cutting a promo, or she's having a match, or she's coming out and she's bro kicking somebody in the face. Whatever it is going to happen. So Kirsten, Jade being number 5, I mean, was it a no brainer for her to be number 5?
I mean, it was for me. So like I said, I usually come in with these for the top 20 because those are typically more contested. And my top 5 is what ended up the top 5. I was like, yeah, I won, you know. So Jade was my number 5. There was actually talk about putting her before Thunder Rosa, but we can explain why we didn't with Thunder Rosa. Yeah, I know. I know.
The table on that one.
So with Jade, like, yes, and people will be like, "Oh, it's kayfabe," you know. Well, it's all kayfabe. What are you talking about? Like, all of this is kayfabe. Push is kayfabe, and so, yeah, of course. But she does. She has a lossless record. Not only that, but she is a defending champ. So I think she like has 20 odd some matches, but 14 have been title defenses. So she's not afraid. I think the only thing that didn't put her higher was that, of course, the people that she's wrestling are, you know, mid-carders, right? And that's sort of the problem with title holders is like, you're not going to be fighting the top people all the time, right? So, you know, she did wrestle some lower card people, but she was wrestling on all the pay-per-views, even if it was the pre-show. She was wrestling on TV. Like, I think that's just all TV, and like that's it. And you know, here's somebody who we can safely say has a lot of those intangibles that we use as a criteria. She is charismatic. I mean, there's very few women, because I try to be just a professional. There's very few women that will walk out of a tunnel and take my breath away, and she's one. She's one of them, like Sasha Banks, right? Like, she comes out and just fills the room with light. She's gorgeous. She's charismatic. She's amazing on the mic. She's got attitude like no one else. She's got attitude on Twitter. Sometimes I'm like, calm down. She's got attitude on Twitter. And, you know, she's got this social media presence too, because she's huge, right? And the ability is there. You know, she played basketball. She was scoring like an average of 10 points a game. She's incredible. Now, yes, she's newer, but so are a lot of people on this list, you know, but that's where those intangibles come in. Is not only is she just a badass, but she's representing like a whole community of people too. And she is, I don't want to say a superstar, you know, compared to WWE, but she is what they wish they had, right? With some of their women, like she is that bitch, right? She's that woman. Yeah. Like number 5, it wasn't even a question for me. I had her there. Yep.
I definitely agree. I mean, she's been killing the game, and I remember saying, like, you know, every time, like, first time seeing her, I was like, who is this girl? Like, who is she? Not being distracted the fact that Shaq was behind her, but who is this woman? And what is she here to do? And she was here to kick ass, and that's exactly what she's been doing. So Meka, Jade Cargill, you know, you and Al are the Dynamite Dogs. You guys hold down AEW every Wednesday, and of course, y'all are inaugural of the baddie section. I will say that. So Jade Cargill,
thanks.
Jade Cargill, her being number 5, her year that she's had. Meka, Al, whichever one want to start first.
You want me to go?
You know what? I'm gonna go first because I know you got a lot. Because I'm not gonna follow you. No, I totally agree with Jade being 5, like not even being biased, like the AEW ones, but like she always improves, and to be improving only with TVs, only with pay-per-views in such a short time is crazy. You know, I've gotten to go to a couple AEW shows like throughout the summer, and just to see her growth, and to just, you're right, like you want to watch her. You know, All Out, when she came as She-Hulk, my whole group just gasped. Everybody was like, you know, we just, like you literally said, like we all like we're like, I just want to look at her. Like you just want, like everyone just stops and looks at her, And like you're saying, like obviously she is stunning, but like she has this presence, and she is also carries herself like a star so soon, can speak very well. I got the chance, to be in that media scrum at Double or Nothing, and she answered my question. I was like, she's looking at me. Oh, I have to be a professional, like it's overwhelming. I was like, and she, she listened, and she's like, I took it in, and she's like, she's very respectful and so professional. And that's why she is in this for AEW. They're mainstream. She's going to the Comic-Con. She's representing the whole brand of TBS, and rightly so. Like she's the right person. Anyone that follows the TBS champion, like we've said, has to be on this level of like, you got to represent this company, and she does so well. Like whatever she does, I'm gonna do it. Like last week, she wanted to hold up a whole Rampage, and I was like, yes, ma'am. You just whatever she's doing, I want to watch.
So and
it's
all
very
night.
rare. Yeah, come out tonight. Not much happening, but like she leaps and bounds. It's only been what 2-3 years,
Yeah.
and she's gonna get better. And it's just amazing to see her growth, and she's rightly deserved. She is like we said, she's that bitch. She is who she is. There's nothing.
I think there is credits to be lended to her for being teachable, because you can be the caliber of star she is outside of wrestling, just her presence, right? But be completely unteachable. Her working with Bryan Danielson and him dedicating the time to helping her improve, and her taking those lessons and every match getting better, and you can see that's that combination of humility and talent, right? And then when you slap that, because my favorite criteria of all of these is the influence, because that cannot be quantified. We understand why they put that title on her. If you have never watched an episode of wrestling ever, and you are flipping channels and you see that in the middle of the ring, you are going to stop what you are doing and try to figure out, who is this fine ass lady? Why is she so swole? What is this title? What is going on? You want to know who she is. That's what you want in a TV title holder. That's where a lot of people go wrong. Companies go wrong with putting their TV titles on the wrong people. This is what you want. And for Jay to be able to give you that in 2 years, from not wrestling at all, just modeling and being fine and having a baby and being with her boo, to this, that is what you want. And so I am so excited to see her on that list. I popped for number 5 because she's earned it in every sense of the word. Like we said, you can say she green all you want to. Some of y'all faves have been green for 17 years. Y'all faves still can't wrestle. And if you want names, hit me up on Twitter. I'll give you a list. Some of them still can't wrestle. And she's doing all the things that she needs to do in order to improve. So I agree. I wouldn't put her anywhere else. I was so proud of her, and I just hope that she continues to grow and get better and remain teachable.
Yeah. I absolutely agree with everything Meka and Al said, because I just love looking at her, because every time I see her, it makes me think about the likes of China and the likes of Jazz, who opened up doors for women like her to look as beautiful as she is and to be as muscular and strong as she is now in this day and age. And it's just beautiful to watch her, rise to the occasion of being a wrestler, because of course that wasn't something that she really thought about doing or dreamed about doing her whole life. And she's done so many different things. And she's talked about on numerous publications how wrestling wasn't a thing that was on her radar, and it wasn't necessarily a thing that she felt like she had to do or needed to do, but it's something that she wanted to do. And I feel like as long as she continues to work at it and work at her craft, she'll only get better. And we have got to get out of this idea that, oh, well, this person has to be at this standard all the time, when in actuality you're not holding everybody else to that standard at all. And for someone who just started wrestling only a few years ago, it's like you really can't tell fully, because she's embodying everything about wrestling so well. And with her being this champion, it's just, it's like Al said, whoever's coming after her is a hard act to follow, because seriously, she just has everything. She's the full package. And on top of all that, she's great for representation, just for Black women, seeing a woman like this, on a high level, especially in a company that's still very new. So I am not mad about her placement on this list at all. And I feel like the more better she gets, the higher she might be. So I definitely agree with her placement being number 5.
Same. Give it up for Jay Cargill making number 5, ladies and gentlemen. Shout out to her. Shout out to everyone who's made the top 10. Everybody who's made the list at that too. You know what I'm saying? I think that is great for everyone. No matter where you're placed at. That just means that you listen. You gotta work harder next year. That's all it is. I feel like this list should be something to challenge you to want to be higher than the spot that you were in last year, and so on and so forth. But let's jump into number 4, to be exact. Someone who made her triumphant return that put a lot of us in shambles and had us crying and pulling out our hair and really about to go up to WWE's
Girl.
on the door.
Out again. Lord, don't do it, please.
Girl.
But nonetheless, which ended between the feud of Bianca and this woman here was pleasant. I will say that, where it all began. Mother, part of the 4 horsewomen. I mean, what can you say? Becky Lynch, last kicker, big time Bex, the man. Whichever version of Becky Lynch you get, you know that you're going to get a better version of Becky Lynch. I mean, she, from the time that she came back, which we won't get into that, PTSD all over again.
I'm so traumatized.
I'm okay. I'm okay now. I really am. But what I will have to say, that Becky Lynch coming in at number 4 was very shocking to me. I didn't expect her to be in number 4. I honestly didn't even think Beck was going to be like in the top 10 list, to be honest. And it was a shock to me that she, made it to number 4. Well, you're thinking, you go back and you look at the year that she's had. Now that, this was last time we saw her was like the Monday Night Raw following SummerSlam. So if you look at way before then, her thing with Charlotte, what she had going on with, she still had her constant little feud with Bianca on and off, you know what I'm saying? And then having a feud with Liv Morgan for day 1, and then bouncing back and going back into it with Bianca, then having something with Asuka, Sasha Banks being a part of it as well, her coming back, winning the SmackDown Women's Champion, and having her thing with Charlotte, having switching, because they got drafted to different brands, her coming to Monday Night Raw. And every week, Becky came out in some courageous outfit that we may have liked, or you may have been like, did he dress you in the dark? What happened? But nonetheless, Becky, she's grown a lot. I will say that. Whether it's her gimmicks, whether it's her presence, she's made a name for herself. I will say that she has reached the pinnacle of being, how I always look at the 4 horsewomen. I don't put anyone over the other. I think all of them are equally, individually, their own persona. I will say that. And I feel like with Becky coming in number 4, like I said, it was a shocker to me. But Kristen, do you mind explaining to those who may not understand why Becky is in the number 4 spot?
Yeah. Yeah, of course. So I will start, like, this was out, so the SummerSlam thing, right? That was outside of the evaluation period.
Yeah.
But I will say to her credit, like, I got the awesome opportunity to talk to her and interview her. And that wasn't her idea, and nor was it the original plan.
Yeah.
It was, I mean, it was the whole Sasha situation, right? So she was like, yeah, I'm just going to do it. But it wasn't the original plan. And so that feud wasn't even supposed to build that way. So it started off her return weird. And so they had to sort of pick up, you know, she wasn't going to come back healed. That wasn't the thing. And so they had to sort of pick up then. And I think they ran with it well. You know, just like Charlotte, she, you know, held titles, right? She held the Raw. Yeah. And, you know, for a while, and she lost it to Bianca at WrestleMania, right? So if you're going to lose a title, it might as well be the biggest show of the year, right? So, and her feud, I mean, that's the thing, is Becky will get attention on the feuds that she has. She will. She makes the feuds, like Bailey too, I will say, really makes the feud something you want to watch. So her feud with Bianca was like one of the biggest of the year, right? Her feud with Charlotte, this like behind the scenes thing. I mean, that was all during the evaluation period. Their title versus title match, those two, was like, we were all glued to the screen. Even the people who don't normally watch that, we're all glued to the screen because she brings all that stuff to light. And she's really good at like mixing kayfabe with reality, right? Like you just don't know where those lines end with her. And that's same thing with like Charlotte. And that's what's kind of great about her. And I think she started off as a heel for the first time and she did really well. Like I find that she did extremely well. A lot of people didn't like it, but I think she fell into the role really well. And I think the fashion had a lot to do with that. Her and Seth do have the same stylist, so that's really funny. But, you know, she remains one of the biggest draws of WWE, women or men, right? She's still one of the biggest draws. And talk about influence outside of WWE, she's got it, right? People are still booking her for things. Her talent is undeniable. I mean, one of the four horsewomen, right? She's talented. And she was also one of the busiest, too, during this year. And a lot of her talent that she was competing against were top tier. Bianca, Asuka, Charlotte Flair. Those are top tier. This isn't somebody who holds a title and is fighting, you know, people down below, right? Like this is someone who only fights the top of the top, or people like Liv Morgan who are trying to get their way to the top and are almost there, right? So, you know, she wins against Lita at Elimination Chamber. She beats Bianca and Sasha at Crown Jewel. She continuously pulls out all the stops for everybody. And I think, you know, she has a pretty good record with pay-per-view wins, frankly. And that's because, like I said, she's the draw. I mean, I know there's a lot of people who are like Becky Lynch, but if you go and look back, she's got an incredible record this year. And to come back sort of haphazardly and not really just kind of be thrown into it, but then still pull it out. I mean, somebody like Becky is only able to do that. So, yeah. Hope that helps.
It definitely does have a lot with kind of understanding, you know, Becky, and if you follow her career during the time of, like you said, the criteria and everything, it helped me understand a little bit more as to why she was number 4. It's just a shocker to me. I was like, holy, what? Becky? Wow, okay.
Yeah.
You know, but then, you know, social media plays a big part. See a lot of conversation between the number 4 spot and the number 3 spot. You know, why is, you know, number 3 over the number 4, which we'll definitely get into that in a few minutes. But shout out to Becky. Becky she's came back. She's elevated herself. She's elevated her career. Her promos have like really, Becky can be really harsh to people in a way when I you know, listen to her promo she had against Charlotte Flair versus what she had against, you know, Liv Morgan, and then like Bianca and Lita. There were like all different versions of Becky Lynch, and once she lost the title, she started to like crack. She started to go like a little insane, a little bit. I thought it was gonna put in a home somewhere with a straitjacket, but yeah. So well, we haven't gotten there yet, Sam, but we're definitely getting to number 3 because that one did have a lot of eyebrows raised. Meka What are your thoughts on Becky Lynch being number 4?
Santana's laughing because Santana already and Al, I think, does too. I am not a Becky Lynch fan. She is the bottom of the 4 for me. But I mean, y'all made the list, and if that's where y'all want to put her, great. I could care if she was off the list like Bailey was. I wouldn't feel away. But I respect y'all and what y'all said, and yeah, she fought my girl, and gave Bianca a good run, even though we really wanted Charlotte and Bianca. We'll take Becky and Bianca. It was great. And so I respect it. That's all I got.
Okay. What I will say about Becky, besides her putting me in my feelings for all of this year, Jesus, because she took me on a journey. Because I really loved her, from being the last kicker and all of that. But then when she took this turn and took it away from Bianca, I was ready to fight. I was ready to go. But her as a heel was still really enthralling stuff regardless. And the level of her rivalries with everyone and everything that she did this year, I thought she would have been number 2, if I'm being honest. In my prediction, I tweeted that she would be number 2 and then someone else would be number 1, and we'll get to that. Simply because the level of work that she did in the ring and even outside of the ring with her character work was just insane. And I feel like one of her best promos that she did when she was feuding with Bianca for the title coming up to WrestleMania was when she sat in the middle of the ring in a chair while she was champion and talked about why she hated Bianca so much and how spiteful it was, number 1, and number 2, how she sold her soul for it. And you really sat there and you believed that. You really believe that she took you on a ride and on a journey that I just wasn't sure I had ever been on, really before, in terms of emotions and motivations. And she has just gotten, head and shoulders above, that girl that we saw in NXT who was doing river dances. Like, she's come such a long way in her character work. And even when she lost, and I was thrilled, and even her facial expressions when Bianca came out there in WrestleMania and with the marching band, like everything she does is for the betterment of the show and for a better experience of the women's division as well. Like, she looks to uplift, the women around her that she's working with, and I love that. So I did feel a way about her placement. I thought for sure that maybe she would be number 2, but her as number 4 isn't bad either. So I can kind of let that go. But I did think she would be number 2.
Yeah. So I'm not mad at her being 4. I see, the 4 and 3. I feel like those 4, they all could just be interchangeable, and they're all, you know what I mean? Like 4 and 3 could be replaced, or 2, 1. And I don't envy you in your spot to pick this. No, thank you. So, like, I think for me personally, Becky in the beginning, right after that return, was a little like, she had to find her way, and she found her way, and like, she made me like Liv. That feud with Liv, I was like, okay, Liv, I see you, because I wasn't big on Liv. She does elevate whoever she's with. She gave Lita the best Lita match I've ever seen, and I'm a huge Lita fan. That was the best match Lita ever had. And obviously WrestleMania and her going insane, like, that was interesting. Like, she, when she chopped her half, and she's just like, you believed it. You're right. You're like, she is not okay. Someone help her. Like, she is so good at making you feel things. Like, she deserves everything she gets because she works hard. She brings you in. Like, you don't know. You're right. Is this real? Is this fake? I don't know what this is. I don't care, but I want to watch it. I want to watch whatever she does. She's gonna help everybody. It's not selfish. And 4 or 3, I this is that weird area where it's like, like I said, could be interchangeable, but she had a great year. It went full circle. Like, she did get injured, but it went full circle from us being like, nah, what was that, to now we're cool. All right, now we have this respect thing. We kind of see a little bit of the old Becky. Who knows what's going to happen when she comes back? I mean, she's going to build that anticipation for when she comes back, and we'll see where she is next year. 3, 2, who knows? But this is hard. I could see her before. I could see her being 3, so I'm not mad at it.
Man, you made my eye twitch a little bit when you said she made you like Liv Morgan. Ooh.
That
Listen, that's a skill.
Wow, because I mean, she, wow, she.
I didn't say I was a big Liv Morgan fan. I just was like, okay, Liv, I see you. Aside.
I see you. We see each other. All right, guys, we're down to our top 3, which, like we said, like really 4 and 3 really had a lot of people eyebrows raised, trying to figure out, like Sam said, how did this person get over Becky? Well, number 3 is still your AEW Women's Champion. While Toni Storm is holding the interim, and hopefully somewhere down the line we get these 2 in a match, but it probably won't happen until January, according to this woman herself. She's done a lot on the indies while having her own promotion, Mission Pro Wrestling, while still being in, have matches against Deonna in Impact, wrestling various of different women in Warrior Wrestling, being former Warrior Wrestling Women's Title champion before she had to vacate it and went to Athena. But she's done a lot outside of AEW, where she normally is prominently, wrestling and on Dark or on Dark Innovation, and sometimes Dynamite, and having one of the biggest feuds, I will say, in AEW Women's history, i.e. Britt Baker, the DMD. Thunder Rosa, ladies and gentlemen, comes in your number 3 spot. And back to what Sam was saying, how did Thunder get over Becky? Kristen, would you like to, answer that question for a lot of people who were really trying to figure out how, Thunder Rosa, they feel like she, even with being a champion, she really didn't have that much TV time. She wasn't wrestling that many matches in their eyes or different things like that. So kind of break that down a little bit.
Yeah, so now this is not to say that Becky wouldn't deserve the top 3. And like you said, I think the top 5, or at least the top 3 through 5 are pretty hard, honestly, to kind of, it's hard. It's always hard because it's always like one thing over another thing, right? Thunder Rosa she is the face of the AEW Women's Division, even without really being there. She is the division, which for a while that was Britt, right? And it was starting to make people mad, and I think it still kind of does for some reason. So if you just forget all the drama and all the reports that say people don't like people, if you just remove that, because that's not in our criteria, we don't, she wins the title in their first ever Lights Out match, and it was intense. I mean, that was really my women's match of the year, to be quite honest. It was crazy, and it showed to fans everywhere that yes, AEW women can go. I mean, we already knew that, but this really cemented it. So won it there from Britt, who had it for quite a while. She's defended it often, including Forbidden Door, right, which is a huge deal. They were the only women's match. So she defends it against Toni Storm. She defends against Serena Deeb. She, and Jamie Hayter. And she's Nyla Rose. She's defending against real competitors. And the thing that I love about Thunder Rosa is that she can fight anyone. She can adapt to anyone's style really well. And she's one of those people who is mid-experience, but is able to call in the ring. And I've seen that. When you can see someone's missed a step, she can call a move in the ring. And so she's a really great leader that way in the ring. Like you said, she runs her own promotion. While that's not necessarily a criteria, it's important. It's that influence, right? She's helping build other women. So also, right, she takes the women's title to Tokyo Joshi Pro. So granted, that's not something you're ever going to do in WWE because they can't. But she's taking that title and she's taking it to another country. And I would say TJPW is probably number 2 in women's promotion over there. Takes it there, defends it against Mayu Yamashita, who is one of the hardest kickers in this planet. She's hard. She goes hard. And and retains, and then actually brings Mayu over for another match. So she's somebody who not only is just a really great leader and great in the ring, but inspirational in a lot of ways too. She makes it a point to really stand for her community. She goes out into, she's volunteering. She goes out and does community events. She shows up in gear. She's always cutting promos, really pushing over her community. And if you know Thunder Rosa's backstory, it's kind of a miracle she's even wrestling. And she's just, like today I saw a video. Now this again doesn't really count in the criteria, but it shows the kind of person she is. I saw a video where she was thanking her fans for the number 3 spot. And she said, I didn't start at number 3. I started at the one to watch. And that's one of our things we do at PWI. It's somebody just up and coming, right? And it just, she's constantly somebody who pushes the message, work hard. And it's not to say that I think her and Becky have totally 2 different styles and totally 2 different personalities. And they're from 2 different companies. AEW pushes athleticism, wrestling, and while WWE does to an extent, they also are entertainment, right? So I agree it's hard. Thunder Rosa also just carried, I think, an extra indie belt too. And the fact that she can move around that's helpful. That matters a lot to us. At the end of the day, it does. And yeah, I really love Thunder Rosa. I think she's grown insane. Like she's grown insane. And if you go to an AEW event, I'll say this, and you see her live and she comes out, the pop that happens, she is a fan favorite. The pop is bigger than what CM Punk's was. And I'm not even kidding. It was this pop that was like, what? People love her. And to have a natural baby face in a women's division that so many people say is like subpar, it's undeniable. And I think too, WWE has a lot of talent. Bianca, Becky, Charlotte, Bayley, Sasha, Naomi, they have all this talent. And I'm not saying that AW doesn't, but AW really only pushes a couple people. They really only do, right? They're title holders and, they don't put a lot of spotlight on a lot of their women. And Thunder Rosa's it. And like we've talked about with other people, she's got people talking when she's not even there, right? She's having to like tweet out, like, don't bother me, like all the time. So it just, I would say they're pretty equal. I agree. But it comes down to different criteria for the both of them, I think. Yeah.
I can see your point there. So I hope that does answer and help a lot of people try to figure out like why Thunder was over Becky. Me personally, I am not the biggest Thunder Rosa fan. I think that she's a great wrestler. I really do. But for me, I don't think that I have that, I guess you can say like relatability to her or her backstory like that too. But I won't discredit her in-ring ability because I think she's a great wrestler. I really do. Her being champion, I really wanted more from her. You know what I'm saying? I really did. I really thought that maybe her being the champion, now would make me want to pay attention to her more. But when you're, not really being seen that much on TV while carrying this title, it kind of hinders, well, why should I, watch her or pay attention to her? I know that she gets a big pop. I've seen it before. I see how people react to her and different things like that. I see she's always in someone's top list when it comes to women wrestlers a lot of times. So I don't mind it. I can definitely understand why either or could have win in either place. Let's just say it like that. I see ring the bell. Hey, Diaz. He's in here. This was a tough year to make a top 3 in the Wrath of Mandy Rose. Oh, child. Listen, Miss Rose can sit in the 21 section. Okay, I tell you that much. Her matches against Baker and Dee were my favorites on those stacked AEW pay-per-view cards. I will say that her and Britt, they have a lot of chemistry together. Their feud was amazing. Her and Serena Deeb, 2 amazing wrestlers within themselves. I mean, Serena Deeb, the professor, she's amazing in the ring. To be honest, she really is. And I wish more for her as well. But it'll happen one day, maybe not. So Mika, Stephanie, Al, your thoughts on Thunder Rosa being in number 3 spot? I know Al. Al, I'm gonna start with you because I'm
Yeah,
you.
I'm referring to my tag team partner. I have nothing to say.
I'll take this one. Listen, this is how it goes on Wednesday nights. Um, if you guys watch me anytime and there's a Thunder Rosa mention, you know how much I love this woman. And I think to your point, Santana, you don't have that connection with her, and that's okay. That's fine. That's like I that it is what it is. There's some people that you like. I'm like, meh. Like
No,
I
wait. We don't get into
but like I have that connection with her, and I'm not saying that just because I have the similar background as a Mexican woman, I mean that helps. I mean there's other people, there's little girls that don't look like her that are painting their faces and things, but she does have that effect on people where they're like she's cool, I want to watch her. And for us, Mexican women, Latino women, we're like, whoa, I can do it. That's what she means to us. Like, I've just saw her a few weeks ago, beginning of the month. You're talking about community events. She's out there still injured. I saw her with her back brace, and she's still out there with the people, and she didn't forget, where she came from. She wrestled at the promotion that was wrestling at the taco truck thing I was at, and she was like, this is where I got a chance, and you guys are why I'm here. She does give back. And her in-ring work, you can't deny that. I understand Santana's point of her not being able to care about the reign, and that's not her fault completely. That's the way she's being presented.
It's not.
That's the one. We're not here to talk about issues, but it is the way she's being booked. That she can be. We've seen that those moments. You sometimes you can't just go off of matches. That is, she can have great matches all the time, but some people need to be like, why do I care? And she sometimes hasn't got that opportunity. I understand that. For me, I care, obviously, but I understand your point of being like, why do I care? And if you're not seeing your champion a couple weeks, again, you don't want to have to go look for it. You don't want to have to go YouTube it. I understand that, and we've had this discussion Wednesday, but she does deserve it. She's had these bangers, and she has her promotion. She's been in Japan. She is bringing people with her. And so, like, I keep going about Thunder Rosa, but I think the third spot is very deserved. And, like, I can't wait for her to be fully healed and be back and wrap it up with Tony, because that's the match I want to see. That's the match I was looking forward to in Chicago, So I'm ready for her to be back, and I think 3 is good. Like I said, if she would have been 4, Becky 3, this is that hard spot. But 3, I'm satisfied with 3.
Yeah, I'm with Al in the sense that I am satisfied with her being number 3, who is another I also predicted her to be number 3 on social media, because honestly when she won the AEW Women's World title, I was so thrilled for her, because she's someone who in my mind should have been AEW World Women's Champion. She should have been champion in my mind. Like, she just should have. And I have a soft spot for her, not only just because of her representation of Hispanic women, but also because of the fact that she actually came on my show when I was just doing audio interviews. And she didn't have to do that cuz nobody knew who I was at that point. She didn't have to do that for me, but she did, and I'll always be grateful for her for that. And just to watch her, get better and rise and make the best out of the not greatest booking situation and continue to rise even still has just been amazing. So I'm really glad to see her at number 3, because it's like you said, her matches with Britt were just fantastic. For her in-ring work has just been great. Even when she was tagging with Tony, that was cool too. So her being number 3 was not an issue for me. at all. And she deserves it. And I can't wait to see what more she has to offer once she does get healed. Because I just want to see more of her as champion. And I want her to have more time to tell, a story as well as champion, because she deserves that. Like, she's worked really hard. She's done the work. She has the personality. She has it all. So just let her run with it.
Yeah, build the legacy
Yes.
for herself. Build that title reign as a dominant champion.
Yes.
And you're right. That cage match with Britt when she won the title is one of the best matches ever, like this year. And the entrance was everything. Made me cry. Like,
Beautiful. It was beautiful. I love the colors and everything. It was so gorgeous. I love stuff like that.
I feel
Represent.
like it was a great way to kind of close out the Brit and Thunder feud, honestly, to be honest. Because I mean, it was on and off too, though. Like, it was like they'll go at it, but somehow they always managed to be somewhere together. No matter if they were after different people or whatever, but they managed to always meet right there back in the middle. So don't mind me, I'm multitasking. Ronda Rousey is about to face whoever this open challenger is.
oh boy.
Like that.
If
So.
they said it is, I'm gonna log off of here.
Well done.
I don't know who it could be, but ladies and gentlemen, we are down to our final two, and I haven't done this in a very, very, very long time. I think the last time I was on here, I did it because she was in number one, but she's moved to number two, top two, as always. I mean, let me see if I can remember how to do this. So she's your Raw Women's Champion. She's been a SmackDown Women's Champion. She's the only and first Black wrestler to go over 200 days as holding a single world title. She is the roughest, the toughest, the quickest, the strongest, the fastest, the greatest, the best. Your EST of WWE. ESPY winner herself. Main evented WrestleMania Night 1, WrestleMania 37 with the Sasha Banks, the GOAT, the Blueprint, the Boss, the Standard, and of course, who can go back to back at WrestleMania and win, the first Black woman to win the 2021 Royal Rumble, the Bianca Belair. I mean, anybody who knows me knows the love that I have for Bianca. Like, I'll fight you myself. I'm gonna meet up outside your house. You say anything bad about this woman, Bianca. I can understand why she's number two. I'm not mad that she's number two, because going to the criteria, if you look at it, yes, she ended up losing her title, and she had to work her way back up to prove why she is who she is, the EST of WWE. She's worked her way up, winning, being a sole survivor for Survivor Series, winning the Elimination Chamber, winning at WrestleMania, winning at Hell in a Cell, winning at all these other pay-per-views she's been a part of, WrestleMania, like all these other pay-per-views she's been a part of, she's won them. She ended up having an undefeated streak at some point, but when damage control come in, things transpire. But nonetheless, Bianca Belair is number two. Kristen, I'm pretty sure there's no really bland reason as to why she is, but for those who may be wondering, Bianca Belair being number two and not in the number one spot again, because this is where a lot of issues did come across on social media for those who are not familiar with the number one of the top 150 list. So Bianca Belair being number two, for those who may be wondering, explain why she's in the number two spot this year.
Yeah, so I'll preface this by saying, so our committee, at least the first committee meeting, is 4 hours long, right? Like I talked about before. And it took over an hour debating this in the meeting itself. And we all play devil's advocate for the other side. And we all come in with our favorites, and then we all play devil's advocate. And even after that committee meeting, because there was 2 people who couldn't make the actual meeting, they had separate meetings with our editor-in-chief and debated it. And there were email chains. And I mean, and then I had my own conversation again with the editor-in-chief going over the stats. And that's really where it came down to, because if you look at the intangibles, it's the same, right? They both are representative of a community. Even Shuri has presence outside of Stardom. She's got other things going on too. So those things sort of match up, right? The thing that Bianca sort of, right, I wouldn't say that her star doesn't shine, but it shined a little bit less because people came back, right? There were other people, Becky, right? There were other people taking the spotlight. We did the stats, right? And Bianca had like over 100 matches, which is incredibly impressive, but like 70 of them were house shows. And not that house shows don't count, but they count a little bit less because it's, there's not a lot of people there, right? It's sort of, they do count, but not a lot. And when you look at the house shows, it's just the same people over and over again, and even her stuff on TV, right? It's Asuka, it's Becky, it's Alexa Bliss. It's the same people over and over again. And they're great talent, but it doesn't really count a lot for depth of competition. It was hard. It was hard, that debate. It wasn't, I think people just think that we throw things up and then we never look at it again. We look at that list for like a month and just go over it. I get a message from an editor-in-chief every single day. Like, do you think this is okay? And it's like, yeah, okay, sure, let's do this, right? It takes up my entire life for like a month. So it was hard. Bianca wasn't my number one going in, but people did. I was almost swayed. It was very hard. So really what it came down with these two is stats, right? Like, she defended it a little bit less. She had less titles than Shuri. It really came down just to the wrestling part of it because everything else was sort of equal. Bianca still has this extreme star power, but so does Shuri at a little bit of lesser level, So with Bianca, that's what it came down to. A lot of Bianca is athleticism, it's charisma, it's representation, it's stuff outside of WWE. There's all this stuff that's happening. She's a true star. She's a true star. But really, when we were like stuck at this middle part, we honestly just pulled up Cage Match and said, let's just compare their years numbers wise. And that's really what gave Shuri the push. And I know a lot of people, Stardom's niche. Well, Stardom's not niche. Stardom is the second most profitable promotion in all of Japan. And that is a lot of people, guys. Sorry. And Stardom has crossover appeal in the US too. They're in the US tonight. So no, they're not on US TV, but the US fans are not the only fans in the world, right? And as PWI, we do have to remember that we don't just cater to US fans, we cater to fans around the world. That's our job, is to keep track of all wrestling. So there's no good answer like that why she's number 2. It's just stats. It really was stats. And we took it extremely seriously. I want to put that on record. It was not an easy decision by any means.
Well, I love that you guys do take a lot of preparation to when it comes to finalizing that list, because it's a lot of time and preparation that goes into it. You want to make sure that you're confident enough to know that you're putting out a list that, at the end of the day, when you're dealing with wrestling fans, it doesn't matter what you put up. They're gonna still find something to say something about. But the passion that you guys have about creating this list and really taking the extra steps and things like that, I say kudos to you guys. But I'm not mad. Bianca's my favorite anyway, so I don't have nothing to say. And no matter where she would be placed at, on this list, she made the list. Okay, that's all that matters to me. You know what I'm saying? So Bianca Belair being number 2 spot. She came in at number 1 last year. Number 2, top 2, but she is number 2.
Now you know Santana, you the number 1 Bianca fan. I'm number 2 because you know who my number 1 is, and that's always Naomi. And my girl did make the list, so I'm ecstatic, even though she is doing her Hollywood thing right now. But this woman right here, like, it's almost nothing you can say about her. And while we will have the talk about our number 1, and she is well deserved to be a number 1, and congratulations to her, for our fans that are in America and our fans that do only consume the mainstream product, This is the standard currently. She gets better and better every day. The respect I have for making not only her gear, but her husband and Angelo's gear, the way that she always has a smile on her face, the way that she goes into everything looking amazing, the way that she can talk about you, your mama, your dog, and your brother and your sister and make you look like, did she just say that to me? She cut a promo against Bailey that had Bailey looking at herself like, she right a little bit. I'm a little bitter. Yeah, she right. And she's such a young star. I said probably one of the first times I've ever hosted, and I think Santana was there on this channel, that if they put the rocket on her, Triple H fought for her for a reason. If they put the rocket on her back, they're not going to regret it. And baby, she has lived up and rode that rocket to orbit, and she gonna ride it to the moon next, and then Mars, and then wherever else. And for her to be so young and so talented, such an inspiration on and off the field. I mean, she's doing college game days. She's, showing up at hospitals. She's showing up at schools. The anti-bullying thing, when they cut the whole clip about what she talked about being bullied and things like that. The promo that comes on Peacock Premium, if you have that, where she talks about how her coaches discouraged her, and they talked about, her body, and they made her actually have an eating disorder. Like, what she has overcome to stand in front of us and smile every day and still take the hate and the racism from some parts of our community that just do not appreciate her and her talent, and she still takes it in stride with grace. I'm going to always give it up to her forever and for always, because she is a lot stronger than me, because baby, I be telling people to drop locations on Twitter so I can pull up, because y'all's being funny. The way her family loves her and supports her. Daddy be trying to jump over that barricade anytime anything happened. He be trying to get in the ring to her. The way Montez will put her over before himself any chance he gets. Like, she's a star, and she deserves that too. And I was okay with her being number one last year, number two this year. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the bounce back. I would have switched it, but it's literally like hairs. It's like splitting hairs with these two. So I mean, come on. What do we say? What do we say?
Yeah, I feel like listening to Mika talk about her just has me in tears. But I'm a crybaby, so it doesn't take that much. But it's just
Representation, friend.
yeah, it is. It's just, oh my God. You really can't say enough about Bianca. Now, I was one of those people who did predict that she would be number one again, because she is one of my favorites as well. I thought, oh, Bianca's gonna be number one again. And, it was a surprise for me when I found out she was number two. But in my mind, I was just like, it doesn't even truly matter, because she still has such a great year regardless. um there's just nothing that she can't do. And I remember, and every time, and the thing that I think the reason why I'm crying is because my mama, who had dealt with some health issues, watched wrestling as a means of coping while she was in the hospital. And she said, and I remember when she saw Bianca, she said, "That's my girl. That's the girl with the braid." And she loves Bianca so much. And my mama does not watch wrestling like that. That's the appeal that she has for women who look like me, for black women, is the fact that you cannot watch wrestling for a good chunk of time your whole life. But when you see her, she pulls you in, and she's there, much like Jay too. um and every time she succeeds or does something well, my heart just swells inside, because she's just so good, and she's just authentically who she is. And she gets better each time. She's just everything about her is just amazing. And I just can't wait to see what else she has, next in store for her. I've said that a lot, but when it comes to Bianca, like, I just have a special place in my heart for her because of all the history she's made, everything she's done, how she's spoken a lot of what she has done into existence, like even from her bloodline with her family and all the historic things they've done in the past for Black people and everything that she is currently doing. She said she was Black history in the making in NXT when she wasn't winning the women's title and we were pissed about it. She knew she was still, Black history in the making, and she is still very much that girl. And she's preparing for her life outside. She's with, an agency now. Like, she's with Savage X Fenty now. Like, there's just so much more for her. And I just can't wait to see what else is in store for her. I love her so much. And she's gonna be in the top 5 or the top 10 forever. And we just have to deal with it. And I feel like she'll only stop being in the top 10 when she chills out. So yeah, I'm happy with her being number 2, even if she's not number 1. So yeah.
It's more like 1.5. We could call it 1.5. Let's be real. There's just like,
one.
yeah. Yeah. Bianca Belair is amazing. She's the girl. She's the one. But when you think about wrestling now, you're like, yep, her. Her face is on all the posters. She's on everything. She's on NASCAR. You turn on anything NBC Universal, there's a Bianca commercial somewhere. You're going to see her somewhere. And I think maybe she, like, number 2 makes sense because she rebuilt. She'd said, I'm going to go back to the end of the line to earn my championship. So that gives her that, like, number 2 because she was rebuilding. Because where do you go after you lose your championship? And Bianca being so, like, who she is, of course she's going to go to the end of the line. She said, yep, all right, Becky, let me show you who I am. And then in the end, obviously, we got what we wanted. We got our beautiful moment at WrestleMania, back-to-back WrestleManias. So, again, these last 4 are just either way. Like, they're all amazing. Bianca's amazing, beautiful, stunning, like everything you want in a wrestler, in a superstar, is Bianca. To pick it up, to keep getting better, to want to get better, and to be your face of your company. She is. And deservingly so. Number 1, number 2, doesn't matter.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And as Nikki said, as she wazzes her way into here, Bianca, she will be defending her Raw Women's Champion in the last women's standing match against Bayley at Crown Jewel. They did just announce that on SmackDown. I did see it. Definitely later on tonight, me and Stephanie are doing the SmackDown post show and Rampage post show. So make sure you guys do come in and hang out with us as we discuss everything that happened on SmackDown and Rampage on tonight.
It's a busy night.
You have no idea.
But we're built for it.
Yes, we are. But ladies and gentlemen, we have made it to the number 1 spot. It's been a long ride. My butt is hurting. That's why I keep maneuvering around a little bit. But we made it to our number 1 spot, and of course, we've been discussing this woman. She's been talked about all over social media. Her coming in at number 1, Siri. Ladies and gentlemen, Siri is number 1, you guys, and she comes from Stardom as well. And like I said, there was a lot of controversy on social media trying to figure out. It was like who is she? Who is that? Why is she number 1 and everything like that? And it's just lets you know, like, instead of asking why this person is number 1, go find out. Mm-hmm. You don't have to bash her because you don't know who she is. That's your fault. Yeah. You want to be a wrestling fan, go do your research. You can research drama and try to find out the backstories on things that's happening backstage. It's really not none of your business. You can go take the time to figure out exactly who this woman is, and then you'll understand why. But, Kristen, for those who may not know who this woman is, and asking a lot of who's, like their owls or whatever, please explain to them who this woman is and why she is in the number 1 spot.
Educate us.
So Shuri had a phenomenal year. Now, I'll tell you, she's been around since 2008. So this is not somebody new.
Mm-hmm.
She's been around. She's an MMA fighter too. So she's already like super brutal, which definitely translate in the ring. She's brutal with chops, brutal with kicks. All these women look like they're trying to take each other's heads off, but she has something special that way. She was a part of this faction, my favorite, Donna Del Mondo, and it was a huge deal when she left because she was one of the founding members with Julia. And that, they're women of the world, right? So these are all women who did not start off at Stardom. They came in, or they're from other countries. So she comes in and she's already just this like force. Now, the last year, she starts her own faction called God's Eye. And that is hard in Stardom. This does not happen like every day. It's not like, no offense to WWE, but it's not like WWE where they're just throwing people together all the time. It doesn't happen. There's a very, there's a lot of lore and there's a lot of history. So factions are always feuding, and it's something that they don't take really lightly over there. She had an incredible year. She won the World of Stardom title. She won it against Utami. I'm trying to remember where, but she won it, and it was one of those no time limit matches, and they went to several draws. This match went on forever. When she won it, it was like probably one of the best matches I've ever seen. When she won it, she had this, she's really great on the mic, and of course there's English translators, right? But you can feel the emotion. Her mother has passed. She's passed away, and she spent a good like 15 minutes talking to her mother and dedicating the win to her mother. And when I say my tears were falling, she's got one of those stories like Bianca, like Thunder Rosa, like all of these people, even Becky Lynch, that you're like, yes, you got through all of this hardship, all of this shit to win. And it's a huge deal. She really had to fight her way up from the bottom. Stats wise, she held 3 titles. That had a lot to do with it over Bianca as well, right? She held 3 titles. The big title. She held the SWA Undisputed title, which is sort of their like foreigner title. It's like your All Atlantic, like it's for women who aren't like Stardom born, I guess. And technically she shouldn't have really had it, but it was because of COVID. But she ran with it and she did awesome. And then she had the Goddesses of Stardom Championships, which are their tag. And she's held these for a long time. She dropped them all except for the world within the period, but she's had these for like over a year. These are not small reigns. Again, Stardom, they fight a gazillion matches. And she's had like probably 20-ish, I would say, around there, title defenses, all against different people, all against the top people, right? She's defending it against Utami again, Julia, everybody and anybody. She does represent a certain part of the world too, right? Like we talked about Bianca being representative. Well, so are Joshi women. That's your body. What? Yeah, there you go. Cheers from the crowd. So, Karen has mentioned to us that there are Japanese women who have reached out and said she's just so important to us and our culture. And that means something, She's also the first Joshi woman to top a list. She's the first non-WWE person to top a list since 2013. So it's been WWE ever since then. And she's like, I think the 4th person who isn't WWE since 2008 to top the list. So WWE has really, they have, owned it. And I think it's okay to give this one to Stardom. I think it's okay. It doesn't lessen Bianca's, importance. It doesn't at all. But Shuri, on paper, had a much better year. And that's what it came down to. Like I said before, it came down to paper. Mm-hmm. She had more titles, more defenses, better defenses. There is the thing where it's not as visible because it's not on cable, but right. They are getting a lot better. They used to be terrible. You could never get a live pay-per-view, and now they've made it a point. Bushiroad buys it, and they are really pushing it. So they want their women to be visible. They're coming across these. They're idols over here now. So Shuri really was the woman to push it over. I think if it's not Julia, it's Shuri. She's really the one to push it over for Stardom, and she represents somebody who is one of the best technical wrestlers in the world, man or woman. She's just incredible. And I think too, there are fans who are like, oh, it's so niche, and it's because you've never watched it, and that doesn't mean it's niche, right?
Mhm.
Just because you haven't heard of her doesn't mean no one has heard of her. That's such
Right.
egotistical thinking in my mind, like, oh my god, the ego. But she's really, pushed a lot of boundaries. A lot of people have heard of her, and you think of people like, Mick Foley loves Joshi. Tom Lawler loves Joshi. Danny Garcia is like obsessed with. I mean, these are people who are well known and make it known. Tom Lawler is all over Twitter, just fangirling over Joshi wrestlers. So Joshi wrestling is coming to America. It's already been here in different forms, and I think people need to get on board. And this, you read the interview from her, and I started crying midway. I mean, this is super important to her. She stayed up late to retweet all these things in Japan. She followed me. Like, she was really showing love to everybody. And it's like, when you see how important it is to them that they got an All Stardom first cover All Stardom, how important it is to them, you're like, how can you not? It's not that, and they don't even not deserve it, right? They deserve it. So it was hard. Like I said, it wasn't easy. But when we did pull the trigger and just cement Shuri in, I'm not gonna lie, I was so excited. I was so excited for all the Joshi fans who were like, Stardom's never gonna get their flowers. And like they've only been around like 10 years, but I told Kevin in the meeting, I said, at some point we have to stop just saying that Stardom is some of the best wrestling in the world without, proving it, right? Putting our money where our mouth is. And so I know there's a lot of controversy. I had to just mute everything and everyone and all my tweets because, you can't change the mind of people who already have made their mind up. And I mean, what good does it do? The list is already out, guys. Like, why are you arguing with me about it? Don't change it now. So yeah, I know there are a lot of people who don't know her, but there you go. Then you have a reason to go watch her stuff. And I promise you will fall in love with Shuri the second you watch a match. Promise.
Definitely. Well, I would have to say that I'm not familiar with her, but literally learning or just hearing everything that you're saying about her, it would make me want to go and at least watch a few matches of hers and see, see why she's number one and everything like that. Because I know Thunder Rose said, well, I'm in number 3, but that means I got to take down Shuri and Bianca. I'm like, well, triple threat match, make it happen. Okay. So, but I think that it's great, saying that she's in, number 1 spot. I mean, if she's had a better year, it just is what it is. So it's not nothing that can be argued, because a lot of times people are saying, well, why she's number 1, can't even give you a valid statement or argument as to why she is. So I mean,
right.
Meka, Al, Stephanie, any last thoughts on the number 1 spot for the PWI 150 list?
Well, I did what everyone should do. Like, I did a brief Google search beforehand, and I was like, let me just see a little bit. I checked out some highlights, and I was like, yeah, number 1. Yes, this checks out. Like, it's just some highlights, just hard hitting. I was like, I saw a little bit of her story, and I was like, okay, yes, I understand now, and I want to go do more, because just a few hours I had free, and I was like, this makes sense. She's killing it. I got a little brief history, and I was, YouTube is free, everybody. It is your friend. It was my friend today. I didn't want to come here and be completely ignorant of who she is. That feels disrespectful. So when you complain about somebody being number 1, that's disrespectful. Before
I think you're unmuting yourself, Al.
I hit my mouse. But so I got so worked up. But yeah, no, just briefly, even like learning who she was like, yep, this is well deserved. So if you took 5 minutes to look up who she is, it makes sense. And I don't know, this might be bold to say, but this is like a suggestion of who to look at, who's good. Like Mika was saying, if they're on this list, there's a respectable committee. It wasn't just Kristen. It wasn't just, some guy on Twitter saying this is the list and you should listen. These are they took time and everybody earned their spot for a reason. So 1, 2 are amazing. When you get if you're in top 10, clearly you're amazing. Hard work. So, but yes, she's clearly well deserved. And I'm gonna do some Googling.
Stephanie, you want to go or you want me to go?
You can go and then I'll go last.
Okay. This is a word for our fan base and the international wrestling fan base community. If y'all don't watch AEW Dynamite, sometimes I drop y'all some gems of advice if you watch our after show. And here's one. Get your notepads out. Y'all ready? Growth is uncomfortable. And sometimes you have to be upset to understand when you're wrong. Sometimes you have to know that there are things out there that you don't know and better yourself by finding out about them. That's what this number 1 is giving you the opportunity to do, to step outside of yourself, to step outside of your comfort zone, to step outside of your Monday and Friday watch parties, because half y'all don't even watch AEW, let's be clear. And we ain't even going to talk about Impact because y'all don't watch that either. But get out of your comfort zone and realize that there are people operating at a very high level in places other than WWE. I say this all the time. There is life, sustainable life and success outside of World Wrestling Entertainment. There is. There just is. And this woman is an example of that. Them putting her at the top of the list is the example of that. And if this made you uncomfortable, go Google and figure out why. Bring me back some facts as to why you don't like her. Bring me some facts as to why she don't deserve her spot. Bring them to me. Y'all know where my Twitter is, Meek the Mage. I'm right here. My DMs are open. We can talk. But it's an opportunity for growth, y'all. You gotta grow. We gotta grow. What type of fandom would we be if we did not give opportunity to people outside of the people that are being shoved down our throats? We all know we love Bianca. Yes. Loving Bianca does not make her any less deserving of number 1. And loving this woman or celebrating this woman for number 1 does not make Bianca any less of a titan. 2 things can be true. So if you don't know, now you know. Go do some Googles. Go do some YouTube of these. Whatever makes you comfortable. Watch an interview. Do something. And just breathe. Because at the end of the day, this list right here did not end your life. You are okay. You are free to tweet another day. It's going to be fine. And if you're really that mad, again, get the digital issue, get the physical issue, get that ballot, get your favorite ink pen, and fill that thing out and send it back and let your opinion be heard. But don't do that without doing the research. That's my word. Shout out to this woman. She deserves number 1. And if you don't like it, argue with your mama.
Amen.
That was beautiful. Did our hearts not burn from that word? I have a couple of points to make. I did not know who she was, but the beauty in wrestling is the fact that in the moments where you're in a place where you don't know, you have the open space, you have the opportunity to open your mind and figure out who these people are, because wrestling grows and it continues to bloom for you when you broaden your horizons. Like, seriously, I want to know who this woman is, and I want to know more about her just from what Kristen said about her and all the reasons why she's number 1 and what she's had to rise through in order to become number 1 on this list and holding these 2 titles on her shoulders right here and right now. And also I would like to say, when it comes to representation, we can't I feel like there's so much more that needs to happen in terms of representation that involves everyone and not just one specific group or your specific group. It applies to everyone, to every person of color, to every sex, to everything. And this woman fits this, and Stardom fits this. And it seems like they've been waiting a very long time to get their just due. And now they're getting it. And just because you don't see the magic happening doesn't mean the magic isn't happening. And their magic is here, and this is their moment, and you can't crap on their moment just because you don't get it. It's just not your time. Like, you need to wait your turn and just chill out. And I'm really happy that this woman is number one, because even though it might not mean anything to a lot of other people, it still means something to somebody else. So for her to be number one, it clearly means a lot to so many other fans of Stardom and so many fans of Joshi wrestling, all over the world. And I am okay with this. And I know now that I need to look and do some more research, on my own to figure out who these women are and what their stories are and what their motivations are in terms of wrestling, because it's clear that their impact is large and their shadow looms large when it comes to women's wrestling. And all of women's wrestling deserves a space. And this woman's space, Suri's space, is number one. And I apologize if I did mispronounce her first name, but this is her space and this is her time, and she is number one. So hey, kudos to her for working so hard to get to even be considered for this place. Like, it's great. I'm really glad that she's having this moment, and the idea that she stayed up, and how much it means to her, for this moment. I'm glad for them. I'm glad for women like her, and I'm just really glad that she is number one. So I'm here for it, and it's just time for us to open our minds and learn, because wrestling becomes greater when you do open your mind and learn about the things that aren't what you're familiar with.
I definitely agree. Well, she's number one, series number one. And ladies and gentlemen, we have went through the entire, well, not the entire, because otherwise we'd be here for like 3 days. But we went through the top 10 list of the PWI 150. If you want to check out the rest of the list, you can, like we've been saying, you can go buy the physical copy or the digital copy, et cetera, whichever one you like or prefer. I'm pretty sure some of the other list is out on social media because that's what people do anyway. But Kristen, we do thank you so much for joining us here at Women's Wrestling Talk. It's always a pleasure of having you here to break down the list and, answer any questions that people may have been wondering all on social media that they could probably still be asking right now, but since you muted them, you can't see it. So we definitely
protect your mental health.
Yeah.
Protect it.
I have a job and stuff. I don't have time for all that.
But we always appreciate you being here and everything like that, and do it all over again next year. Meka, Stephanie, Al, thank you guys so much for joining the Women's Wrestling Talk crew. Dynamite Dolls, Queen Steph Hardy, and of course me, Driune Santana, Driune, for those who may not know how to pronounce my name, because
see, baby, love you. Again, I will say on the public platform, congratulations on 1 year of being editor-in-chief.
I saw that. Congrats.
We are so privileged to work under you and to work under your leadership, and we love you, and we will go to war about you. So please know, and we love you. We love you.
I definitely appreciate that. And thank you. And congratulations you guys for being here as well. You know what I'm saying? I really do appreciate the team that we do have Women's Wrestling Talk. And I always appreciate when we're able to bring other people from other wonderful, amazing platforms to join us here to discuss amazing things that they're doing. So Chris, we do salute you and the whole PWI crew for putting this entire list together. Now y'all can go to bed.
Yeah, I need to eat. I'm like, oh my god, I haven't eaten dinner yet.
Me neither.
Really though.
I'm like, it's like Taco Bell. It's the only place open probably right now. So But
Can't
no,
go
thank
wrong
you
with
for
some
having
popcorn.
me. I always love coming on, getting, Black women of color's perspective, because I don't have many of that in my own life. And there are some at PWI, but I don't get to talk about that a lot. So it's always nice to get some different perspectives and people who watch different things. So I always love coming on here. They're great talks.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much. And we'll start in order. Meka, let everyone know where they can keep up with you at and all the things.
Y'all know where to find me. I'm Meek the Mage on all the things. Twitter is the best place to hit me up for wrestling related stuff. Instagram is just a whole bunch of selfies of me because I think I'm cute. So hit me on the Twitter. We can talk about anything y'all want. I'm always in spaces if you want to do a space and want my opinion, anything. Just let me know. Hit me up. Love you guys. You can also find me writing articles. And you can find me on Wednesday with my tag team partner, Al. Dynamite Dolls. You can also find me on Saturdays on Turnbuckle Glam with the Gold Standard. Our other half, the Salt Shakers, will be on there, talking about the things. And also, you never know where I'm gonna pop up. So that's keep your eyes open.
All right, and Stephanie, you next.
Well, know that you can follow me, your girl Stephanie Hardy, on Instagram and Twitter at Queen Steph Hardy. I will be back on here tonight to go through the events of SmackDown and Rampage on our after show with our fabulous editor in chief Driune Santana. You can also catch me on Thursdays from the NXT after show with Katrina, and on the Wow Superheroes after show on Mondays on here as well with Katrina and Emily May. And yeah, and also check out my articles that I've written on Women's Wrestling Talk, as well as the top 5 Zelina Vega moments, because I know she's on TV right now. And I just have to say that. Please check out that article. I had so much fun writing it, and I just love her. So please check that out. And just continue to support the brand and also support my show, The Hardy Wrestling Podcast. It's under construction right now, but all of my episodes are still up, all 115 of them, but over 100 of them, they're there. So please check out my show.
All right, and Al.
Oh,
Al,
yeah. Thank you. I missed so much. Yes, you can find me Alia 2_ right there. Like Mika said, we are the Dynamite Dolls. Catch us every Wednesday after Dynamite, critiquing all that craziness. Sundays, Turnbuckle Glam. Just having a good time. Catch up. Find us up. There's stuff happening all the time. And follow my podcast, Kayfabe Queens. There will be a 4-year anniversary special coming in the next week or so. So,
Congratulations on 4 years.
oh, thank you.
And of course, I guess, of honor, Kristen, let everyone know where they can find you at. It may still be on mute,
Yeah, so Kristen Ashly, right over there, right on Twitter is where I do most of my stuff. At official PWI is where you can find all that stuff. Please buy the issue. That's how we all get paid. PWI-online.com. You can get your digital copy right away, or you can order your print pre-order. It doesn't take very long to get to, I promise. Yeah, I've got some cool interviews coming next week to celebrate the list. So that's pretty neat. Some big ones. And yeah, I think that's it. Well, I'm doing the 500, the women's 500 again this year. I've decided. Yesterday kind of made me question it, but I think I'm still gonna do it. So I'll be recruiting women for that and sending out tweets for that and all that stuff. So keep an eye out.
Okay, awesome. Well, as for me, Driune Santana, you can always find me on Google, because that's where you're gonna always find me at. Yeah, I don't give out my social media handles. You just have to Google me to locate me and find out where I'm at. And my social media handles are not on social media anymore because I changed my name. So you got to figure out from there. But make sure you guys do follow Women's Wrestling Talk at WWE Talk Pod on all social media platforms. Make sure you check out the website, www.talkpod.com. Articles are going out each and every day. Ladies and gentlemen, our writers team is doing such an amazing job. Really do appreciate them. We have our own list coming up. Praise the Lord. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. But we thank you guys so much for hanging out with us for almost 2.5 hours, talking about the top 10 PWI 150 list. We definitely do appreciate it. We'll definitely be doing it again next year, and so on and so forth. But make sure you guys come back later on tonight for the SmackDown and Rampage post show with me and Stephanie. Yes, you're gonna see me again. Okay, don't be alarmed. I'm only going away for a few minutes. I know you want to see this face. It's coming back. Just be patient. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you guys have a wonderful night and definitely come back and hang out with us. This is Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. See you guys later.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet.